This is The Clash, where the real world clashes with a true Christian worldview. Join former professional wrestler Chris Whaley, known as the Masked Saint, who is an author, pastor, and teacher that brings his wrestling skills into the squared circle and tackles real-life issues. Along with Jeff Dixon, best-selling author, internationally known teacher, leader, and pastor who is not afraid to tackle the tough issues of the world we live in. Together they form a tag team of wisdom in The Clash.
Hi, and welcome to The Clash, where we take a Christian worldview and allow it to clash into the culture around us. And hopefully, when it's all said and done, we provide you with 30 minutes of the finest in entertainment. Well, and, remember, you're probably not paying for this, so you'll get your money's worth, there's no doubt about it. I'm Jeff Dixon. I sit in this chair so I can listen to the wisdom that comes from that chair, where the man that's sitting there is known as the Saint. That's right, the Saint. He is the one, the only, Dr. Chris Whaley. What's up, Doc?
Hey, man. I don't know. You just always amaze me with your introductions.
You are easily amazed. Then.
I am very easily amazed. Doing great, man. I mean, we're taping this the day before the 4th of July.
It is,
so got a lot of stuff coming up. It's hot in Florida, very hot in Florida.
Yes, it is.
You know how hot it is?
How hot?
Hotter than a $2 pistol shooting uphill. That's pretty hot.
That's pretty hot.
Yeah. What are we talking about today, Jeff?
Well, this is going to be maybe one of our best or worst episodes. And the great news is it can be, because it is the do-over episode. So if we do it badly, I guess we can always do it over. Yeah. But we're going to talk about life and things that you wish you could do differently if you had that chance, or something like that. Does that sound right?
Yeah, and what makes it great is we're coming from two different philosophies of life. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, he's the one with the bright clouds and the rainbows and stuff, and I'm Eeyore. So you're going to get two different perspectives on this, and it'll be great.
And hopefully, of those two perspectives, you'll land somewhere close to them, and both will help stretch you and maybe just make life a little bit easier or better. How about that?
Right.
Okay. But before we do that, once you catch our breath, let us get our minds in gear here, and you take a quick break. You got time to run to the refrigerator. We'll be back in just a minute. Chris, I was just thinking while we take a break here in the show, wouldn't it be nice if you could go somewhere and shop and get high-quality merchandise that would have a lasting impact? Wouldn't that be good?
I think that would be absolutely awesome.
Well, I've got a suggestion for you, because what is your favorite saying?
Don't tap out.
Look at that. How about a Don't Tap Out t-shirt? And look at the logo on the back.
What's on the back? The Clash.
That's one of my favorite shows.
It's on my top list too.
And people could go and buy this from our store. Now you say, how do you get to the store? Well, right now there's a QR code on the screen. If they use that QR code, they can go and they can buy, name something. We'll see if they can buy it there. What do you want? What to buy?
Probably, I want to get a long sleeve hoodie.
You know what? You can get a long sleeve hoodie there.
Really?
Yeah, and you know what else? If you had a baby tomorrow, you could get Clash baby gear at that same store. Yep, you can get that. All this available at the Clash store. So if you haven't been to the Clash store, you're one of the few people in America that hasn't been there yet.
Yeah.
And so check it out. Buy our stuff. It makes us money. It makes us happy.
Yeah.
Okay. Go to the Clash store. Welcome back. This is the do-over episode, and so we're going to talk about things that, if we could do it all over again, we would do differently. Yep. When you started thinking about this episode, praying through what we were going to do, I mean, where did your thoughts go?
Well, Jeff, everybody has regrets, mistakes, missed opportunities, things that they wish they could have or should have handled differently. But the key question isn't just what I would change. It's also, what do I do with regret now? Everybody has regrets because of something from the past. And so I'm asking our audience, if you could go back and do life over again, what would you change?
You have some examples to get our minds going?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, would you change anything?
Okay.
And if you change one decision, would that decision change everything else? Or let me ask you this question.
Okay.
Is regret helpful or is it a trap?
I think regret is a trap.
Okay. I agree.
And the reason I think regret is a trap is because I think we go back and we pull the biblical model on top of this, and Jesus said, he came to set the captives free. Well, what did he free us from? He freed us from sin. He freed us from our past. Freed us from guilt.
Right.
So I think we go to the cross with all that junk, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you get to the cross, and you look upon love, you leave it there. Mm-hmm. And then you leave the cross different, following Jesus. Yeah. And I think that regret is one of those things where if you're not careful, it keeps you from leaving the cross, but also it keeps you caught in that cycle of guilt. And you never get to take the journey God has for you because you keep taking steps backwards. Mm-hmm. Now that's probably a cosmic answer to the question, but
I like that because here's the good thing about it. Can God use the parts of your life that you wish had never happened? Can He use that? I mean, I think that's a tension that kind of people deal with, and I think the longer we talk today, there's going to be husbands doing this to their wives and wives doing this to their husbands because we all deal with it. So look.
Well, hopefully no wives look at their husbands and go, "Yeah, I have a regret." We're not suggesting that. You're not someone's regret. Okay, let's just get that out front now and make that our disclaimer. Okay, that's not what this is about. Okay.
Well, let me just put it like, every person eventually looks back and thinks, I should have listened, or I should have slowed down from that, or I should have forgiven that person. Yeah. I should have taken better care of my health. I should have spent more time with family. I should have trusted God sooner. And then the older you get, I think the more clearly you see, I do, you see that wasted time. You see wrong priorities that you might have had in your life. You see, obviously, the bad decisions that you made, and I made many before Jesus. You see the opportunities that you missed. But sometimes, we romanticize that do-over that we're talking about. We imagine, if we change one thing, life would have been perfect. Yeah. And that's not so.
No, I mean that's that Back to the Future mindset, right? Yeah. I mean that the movie scenario, right? You just change this, and this would change, and this would change, and this would change. And there certainly is a ripple effect to everything. But also, if you think about it too, that's where Marvel has made such a killing in the multiverse concept, right? There's all of these multiple universes are happening. So I think I approach it from the standpoint of that there's nothing that I've done, nothing that you've done that surprised God. And so the bigness and greatness of God sure does cover up a multitude of sins and missteps and things like that. And I think there's a moment when you make the decision to align your heart with Jesus, that from that point on, there is that it's my way theology, right? I mean, again, when Sinatra did it, Elvis did it. It's a dumb song, but there is a line in there that really does resonate. It's like, regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. Of course, the punchline is I did it my way. I want to do it God's way. And I think that God has a way of taking all that package of regrets and stuff that, man, I wish I could do that different. And I think He takes and he just molds and weaves it together into that fabric of your life and grows you from it. And hopefully makes you better, a better version of you. I hope. Yeah. I hope.
Well, let me ask you, Jeff. and I know you're a non-regretful person, I know that, but if you could change one thing, would it be a decision? Would it be a relationship? Or would it be a season of life?
Well, I mean, again, you said it right. I'm not a regretful person. It's not because I'm arrogant. It's just because I'm too busy trying to move forward. I don't know. I'm sure that there are decisions along the way that if I could make them at my age now that I made when I was younger, I probably, certainly would have made a different or better decision. I mean, and there's not a big one that just jumps out. But what I guess would cause me to lose sleep at night is, what about all the little ones, that I would make differently now that I didn't think about back then. That was just so impulsive back then. And I think that probably is the regret that I have more than anything else. I'm pretty impulsive and I'm pretty quick to make decisions and move forward. That can be a strength, but it also can be a weakness if you're not careful. And so hopefully over the years I've aligned that better with Jesus.
Yeah.
Hopefully those quick decisions and the clarity of those decisions is quicker. When I made them, when I was younger, I was clear. I mean, I probably got exactly the results I thought I was going to get. Yeah. But they may not have been the wisest.
Yeah. Well, I would be very honest with you and tell you that there's so much that I would have done different. And one of the big ones is this. My dad had a third grade education. He was a long distance truck driver. He grew up, during after the Depression, and he did not have a father. And my mom had a 7th grade education. And so, as you can imagine, education was not pushed in my household. Never had one of them say, "Hey, let me see that report card." Never had, how you doing in school? Hey, if they got a call from the principal because I was fighting or whatever, that was one thing. But the other stuff, they didn't. And so, I obviously didn't place education very high. And then I met this young lady when I was 16 years old in church, and she knew what she was going to do. I was looking to, make a couple of $100 a week. Back in those days, that was good money, I was looking to do that, find a job, and never thought about school. Well, she was going to college. I followed her down to college, and that's where I met the Lord. And then suddenly I had a desire to learn. And I just saw all of, the 12 years of school where I just completely messed up. And I wish I could have done that over. But I had to work very hard, Well,
yeah, you have an earned doctorate degree, man.
I know,
come on.
But, there we go with regret. It forced me to study harder, to work harder, to make wiser decisions because of those 12 years where I made crazy decisions.
Well, for me, school was never really hard. I was, maybe it's regret. I don't know. I could skate through, retain most of it, not have to study a whole lot. Yeah. And and I could roll with a B. Yeah. I could get a B. And so I was
memorizer.
I was okay with that, right? Yeah. I was okay with that. And so I probably blew through school that way. Elementary school, it's a little bit more, that's, I think A's are a little bit more freely given then. But, by the time you get to high school, especially, B, I think I graduated from high school with a, 3.5, 3.6, and I was an athlete, so that was plenty, and that was good enough, and my SAT scores and stuff were good enough. But when I got to seminary, when I got to grad school, I thought that same formula would work. Whew. It did not. That first semester of seminary, and I thought, oh, this is grad school. this is tough. Yep. And so I kind of had that moment of maybe, and I never thought it was regret as much as I should have learned to study better before I got here, because I had to learn to study again. And even to this day, after 1,000 years in ministry, as I think back even on that seminary experience, man, I wish I had paid more attention in Greek and Hebrew. Because I really had to learn Greek and Hebrew after I got out. You know, I mean, I kept my notes in my notebooks. I mean, I've been pulling back for 30 years from that, you know, and had to kind of relearn and retrain. Oh, this is what they were talking about. Oh, this is what it means. Oh, I get it now. You know, life would have been so much better had I developed better habits early on.
Well, real quickly before the break, and I know that's dangerous, but do you think most people regret what they did or what they didn't do?
I bet that most people regret what they didn't do.
There you go.
I didn't do. I have about 10 thoughts behind that, but we're going to go to a break. You know, no. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back and we'll continue this do-over episode and see what comes up.
All right.
During this break, normally we would try to get you to do something, sell you something, send you to a website. But instead, as a bonus for the do-over episode, we have a thought that we want to share as part of the break. Chris?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Okay. If I could do life over again, sure, there are things that I would change. There are words I would love to take back. There's some seasons that I would love to have handled differently or better. Worries I'd refuse to carry, and moments that I'd be more present for. I'd trust God sooner. In some places, I would listen more carefully. In other places, and I would hold more tightly to what really matters. But here it is. The older I get, the more I realize that life is not about fantasizing over a perfect past that never happened. It's about surrendering to the real past I do have to a God who still redeems, who still restores, who still forgives, and he still uses broken people just like me and you.
And that's the end of this break. Let's get back to the episode. Hi, welcome back. This is the do-over episode. If you didn't miss the first part, the great news is it's streaming, so when we're done, you can go back and do it over again. How about that? But we're talking about things that we would do differently if we got the opportunity, and we're kind of talking, bouncing ideas back and forth, because we come, you know, at life with you know, not a different approach. We're living for Jesus, but, you know, just the way we're wired. Everyone's wired different, right? And we said, when we kind of established at the front end, I'm not a big regret guy. But, you know, I build on the biblical model, though, Romans 8:28. You know, we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him. You know, I just trust in that grace of God in my life. And for me, Chris, a lot of it is just simply just that basic understanding, you know, when Jesus tells us to put our hand to the plow and not look back. You know, I think we can do ourselves a disservice and God a disservice if we look back too much. And I say that, nothing wrong with looking back and being honest and taking responsibility. But, you know, you only can go forward. And if you're going to go forward and plow straight, you know, I think there's value in that, because I think you asked the question just before we went to the break, you know, is it things that we didn't do or things that we did that we regret the most? And I think it's things we didn't do. You know, it's kind of like coming to that fork in the road and picking up a spoon and a knife instead. You know, and I think there's that game we all mentally play of, well, what if? What if I could have? Or what if I had done this instead? And I think those are the things that kind of gnaw and eat at you.
Yeah.
And if you're not careful, you know, they really can leave you depressed.
Right.
You know, make you regretful, and put you in a hole if you're not careful.
Right.
And I think that's what you really have to kind of battle against, because Jesus didn't die to make you regret anything. He died to make you free. And so for me, I mean, you know, you try to incorporate that, you know, which is infuriating to people, though, who like to unearth the past, or let's dwell into your feelings, and let's dwell into, you know, what it is in your background that causes this.
Yeah, I know a lot of psychologists.
Yeah,
like that.
I don't have time for that. I mean, again, life's too short. I mean, life is too short to spend your time there. I think the call of God is always a call forward, and I think sometimes regret keeps you from moving forward.
Right.
At least that's been my experience. I've dealt with people. I mean, they come in my office for years, and so many regrets. Can't get past them. can't become what Jesus wants me to be.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
What do you think?
Well, there's some good stuff that we, try to pull the good stuff out of it. You know, what people most often wish they could change. And there's some good things in there, when it comes to relationships. If there's been times in your past when you have not told people you love them.
Sure.
Boy, now's a good time to start.
Yeah.
Or people who stayed angry too long. Get over it. Not forgiving. Being absent while physically present. You ever done that?
Oh gosh, yes.
Oh man,
yeah. I've done that. Miles away. Yeah.
I've done that with the family.
Sure.
And that's what I. Yeah.
One of the prayers I started praying years ago, and sometimes I'm good at it, sometimes I'm not so good at it. Is be in this moment.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Letting work, ambition, or distractions take the best of you instead of giving your best to your family. Yeah, that one too. Here's another one: time, not just relationship, but time. Wasting years on things that didn't matter.
Right. Yeah.
Man. You know people that do that?
Yeah, well, I think maybe as you are becoming more seasoned in life. How about that? I didn't say you're old. I said seasoned in life.
I'm an old guy. Yeah, right.
I think one of the gifts, if you embrace it, of being more seasoned in life. The more life you get in your wake, the more you realize that you don't want to waste time because time is so valuable and precious. When you're younger, you got all the time in the world.
Right.
As the clock ticks and the years go by, you realize you don't. Mm-hmm. I know that I'm in a season where I've realized that, I want to put my time, invest my time in the things that God has created me for, that God has called me to. I want to give those things my best.
Right.
And that branches out into every area. But I don't want to waste time that I have, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We don't want to live for someday. We want to live that someday right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt.
One thing, my dad had all kinds of expressions. This is one of his expressions. And I heard him say this, I don't know how many times. And I'm going to say it just like he said it.
Okay.
Remember, he had a third grade education. He told me, he said, son, if I had knowed that I was going to live this long, I would have taken a lot better care of myself.
Sure.
Yeah. And that's one. I did all the right stuff, man. I went to the gym, I worked out, I ate the right stuff. And then here at the age of, I think, 58, in 2012, I had a heart attack. Yeah. And when I went to the cardiologist, I had all kinds of questions. I was saying, hey, man, I've been a professional athlete. I've taken care of myself. I've worked out in the gym like crazy. I've pushed my body. I have done this and done that and eaten the right stuff. And my dad's in his 80s, no heart problems. My mom's in her 80s, no heart problems. And then here I have a heart attack. And he looked at me, he said, how's your stress? I said, stress? I said, I'm a pastor. My life is filled with stress.
I'm all stressed.
So I can't go back.
Stress.
I can't go back and remove that stress, Jeff. I just wish that I had started hanging around you earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Because Jeff deals with stress a whole lot better than I do. Oh, well, let's get to the spiritual stuff, the spiritual life. Ignoring God's voice from the past, that way that God speaks to us. And I think this would be one for a lot of people today, treating church casually.
Yeah.
Playing with sin. Mm-hmm. There's another one. Or delaying salvation or a deeper obedience to Him. Building a public image instead of a private walk with God.
Yeah.
And those spiritual regrets, Jeff.
Yeah.
Those spiritual regrets are the ones that matter the most, would you say?
I think so. And I think this is where too your depth, your spiritual nature, and and again, your responsibility has to kick in, right? Because if you're going to get past the regret, and not carried around like a bear on your back, you got to go back and you go look in the Bible and you look at guys like King David, you look at Simon Peter, right? If Moses, you look at guys like that and you go, man, those guys made astronomical mistakes. How in the world could they move forward? But yet they did. And I think the underlying current in that is to remember that our God is a God of second, third, fourth chances. And even that verse I read, God takes together and works things together for good, even though at the time they didn't seem good, for those that love Him. I mean, and I think that God, this is where your trust has to come in, right? Do I trust God enough to do what He tells me to do and know that, okay, I screwed that up. I don't know how you're going to fix that, God, but God's going to use it because again, God's got a bigger plan. And I think the other thing is too, and I'm convinced that one of the things that keeps us stuck in regret mode is that it's not just our regrets, but we want other people to regret what they did to us. And so what happens is...
And help them with that.
Yeah, we get sucked into their vortex of, if you would have just done this better, and if you just own that, I could be better, And so I get trapped by what I want you to regret, regret really becomes far more serious than we really even talk about it sometimes. Right. Because again, we know that we are broken and we're flawed and we make mistakes. I've made them, you've made them, our audience has made them. And I think what we lose, if we're not careful, is we get stuck in that swimming pool of regret, and it minimizes the fact that we follow a God who is a God of forgiveness, redemption, and He creates us new. What does the Bible say? We are a new creation.
Right.
That old guy with all those regrets, that old person with all those mistakes, you know what? Jesus takes that and He makes it new. And we don't have to be that person anymore.
Right.
If we decide not to be.
Absolutely.
And I mean, and so I think that's part of the freedom that we have in Christ, that sometimes we don't embrace and value. Right. Am I tracking right on that, or am I?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it brings us to the point where we need to say that regret can be useful also. Regret can be useful if it teaches you lessons. Regret can be useful if it humbles you. If it makes you apologize, and there's probably a lot of people that need to apologize for something. If it causes you to reconcile with someone, or if it leads you to repentance. And so it can be useful, but here's the problem. We just don't let it become useful in our life. Do you agree with that?
I do. Let me get real spiritual here. Let me quote Paul. Let me quote Paul out of Philippians 3, verses 13 and 14.
Yeah.
Brothers and sisters, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it, but one thing I do. I forget what is behind, and I strain toward what is ahead, and I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. Ton of mistakes. We stay there all day. But you got to forget it and keep moving forward.
Right.
Because we are called to something bigger.
All right. I got something good to end on before we take this break. Most regrets aren't about the moments we failed publicly. They're about the moments that we ignored privately.
Yeah.
And that takes spending time with God. So perfect. Right here, it's time for the break.
It is. Well, it's not a break. It's time to go home because we're out of episode.
Really?
No, I mean, I know
that went by quick.
I know you're full of regret over that, but
I am.
You need to tell folks what they need to do because just don't have any regrets, right?
Remember all that we said and don't tap out.